Hello and welcome to the Joy Journey podcast. Today's episode is a powerful one. We are meeting with the beautiful Jesse Schewchuk, an award-winning TV producer, founder and CEO of Modern Muse Media, and a powerhouse storyteller, author, speaker, and MC. Jesse is also the founder of the Menopause Mission, using her platform to advocate for menopause awareness with authenticity and heart. In this episode today, we talk about the challenges of content creation. I know a lot of people, a lot of clients and students of mine struggle with this. So it's a really great walk into what does it look like to make content in ways that feel good? I feel like Jesse really inspires a new way of doing this and how to show up authentically. We talk about the evolution of storytelling and why now is the best time to jump into video creation. Jesse also opens up about overcoming fear and imposter syndrome, things we all struggle with, as well as what it means to embrace imperfection and really own your purpose. We talk a little bit about the Menopause Mission and how it's a movement for change and it's a space for women to feel seen and heard during one of the biggest transitions of their lives. I can't wait for you to meet Jessie. I call her my shister. Together, we make up some fun new words. We celebrate each other and meet in the heart. Get cozy and enjoy. And thank you so much for listening. Hey there, it's Jillian, your guide to all things joy. And this is the Joy Journey podcast. Oh my God. Hello and welcome to the Joy Journey podcast, where joy is an inside job. I'm your host, Jillian Shecker, and I'm so excited to introduce you to Jesse Schewchuk. Jessie is a deep feeling, neurospicy human. She's co-creating with the universe and you. Her gifts are in content creation and Modern Muse Media, this company that she owns, or the company she owns, to help businesses share their stories and brands through video. She also shines brightly as a professional keynote speaker and MC. She's a best-selling author in her work for advocating for awareness around menopause through her new business, Ms. Jesse Muse. Her passion is contagious, and her vision is to educate, empower, and elevate people through the power of authenticity, story, and content creation every single day. She's incredible. I'm excited for you to feel her heart the way that I have. Welcome, Jessie.
Welcome.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. Even reading that, I feel like, so I always like to start like how we met each other. And you might not remember this, but I know you know when we met, but So it was recently at Business Mastery Summit in the new year, whenever it was. Who are we?
Yeah.
And I had written on my name tag when I entered just Jillian, but then I was walking around noticing that like everyone had their last name and everyone had like what they did on it. And so I like ran back to the table and I was like, oh, I need to write down my last name because like, you know, it's a pretty big deal because no one knows how to say my last name. And I looked over and I saw you writing your name and I'm like, oh, you've got a weird one too.
Yeah. Yeah. The good old SCH.
Right?
Not SH, SCH.
Right? Okay. So how do you pronounce your name?
Schewchuk. You did it.
So I did it right. Because like I actually didn't
Yeah.
check in on that. I just intuitively went for it.
You nailed it.
But I remember looking at you and being like, oh yeah, girl, write that name down. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. Of course I do. I mean, there aren't a lot of us SCHers out there. We got to stick together. They always forget the C. Exactly. Oh my gosh. We're going to get matching t-shirts.
SCH, the shisters?
Yeah, the shisters.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Wow.
Yes. So since meeting you then, she was a speaker at that event. And yeah, I just felt you so, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, when you meet your soul people and you're just like, oh yeah, there's one of them right there. We're going to be besties.
I felt the same. And I completely admitted to you that I had been stalking to you prior to that moment. Yeah, but no, seriously, when you were announced also as a part of the event, there was something that I was immediately drawn to. And then when you spoke and swore, I was like, that's my kind of person. Yeah, no, you exuded that energy that I was very attracted to for sure. So
yeah, I think we both could feel each other's authenticity. So I'm so excited to dive in. Let's talk about it all. Okay. So I prepared, obviously a lot of questions just based on feeling your magic. And I can tell, like, I know that you speak about authenticity. You're up here like teaching everyone about it. This is what you do. This is your realm. I think I wanted you to tell us like kind of what you do, because you have a lot of accolades. You're a badass. But if you share kind of like, 2 decades telling story through video, what does that mean? Like, what does that actually look like?
Well, it started when I was 10. So I have a picture of me holding my grandma and grandpa's big VHS camcorder that I could barely carry. And the second eldest of our great grandchildren or grandchildren, and was creating commercials and music videos with my cousins on a regular basis. I fell in love with this medium. I loved to put the VHS tape in and watch it back and then create something different. And so it was a no-brainer. I went into high school, I did an aptitude test, and it came out broadcasting. I was 17 years old when I graduated from high school, so a little youngin'. And I came out of the program, the NATE Radio and Television Arts program, when I was 19, working in my field. Wow. So I had an incredible career in, they call it film and TV. I have yet to do a feature film. That's on my bucket list, but I've done everything else. So I was up in Fort McMurray doing oil and gas videos. I was on camera doing entertainment reporting, covering for the weather. I worked at stations, and then spent the last 8 years of my career creating content for the TV channels. So I was a co-executive producer of a show called Blackstone, which you can actually find on Amazon Prime and Netflix.
Awesome. Oh, I love this. Okay. So you always knew what you were meant to do, sounds like, and feels like.
Yeah, up until now. And we can get to that. But I was really, really lucky in that aspect. And it's funny, a lot of my life has been extraordinarily tumultuous in the other quadrants, but career, I've always had a lot of clarity and direction. And I've been very grateful for that. I saw my sister, I saw other people really struggle to find purpose. But that was clear. I had a path and I executed well.
Okay. I love this. And I can't wait to get into like, what is it looking like now? Because I think another thing I love to share with people is around how we think we have it all figured out. And then things shift because we are always evolving. So it might not look the same. So we'll dive into that. I think what I'd really love to know, what I think, the Joy community would benefit from is a bit of a talk around authenticity, because, would you say broadcasting is a little bit more like polished? Like, you've been in a bunch of different realms where it's like the expectations are maybe different. And I know now your mission is really related around showing up authentically. And this is what you help people to do. So can you share with me about the role authenticity plays in content creation and the way in which you support people now and show up?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was shooting Blackstone, when we were doing that show, there was a mandate with the funders to do more digital content. It's when social media was coming in. It's when you needed to have websites and things. And I fell in love with the short form behind the scenes. Yeah. Because this is where you would do interviews with cast. This is where you would talk to the story creators, the writers, and where the truth was really told. And I felt like the raw and the real and the vulnerable occurred. I loved that. And so when I started Modern Muse, it was really based on creating this authentic micro content for businesses. Now, this was almost 10 years ago. So people were still not even on the social media train, never mind on the content creation train. But when COVID hit, I feel like not only did the light switch turn on for people, and they were like, I need to be doing this. We have to get visible in order, we have to get video rather in order to get visible. Like we have to do this. We all took to the screens. Yeah. But we were also allowed to become human. And I speak often about this because it makes me giggle. So you would have the tours of people's homes from the video below, like looking up their nose. You would have the kids coming up and interrupting. You would have the husband streaking in the background, whether we wanted it or not, right? We would have these
or
moments
blowing their noses.
Yeah. Just mute yourself. We actually saw into people's worlds and saw people as people.
Yeah.
And since then has been the most exciting time of running Modern Muse, because this is when I feel like we were really given permission going through this crisis together to just show up as real.
Yeah.
And it's now my favorite part about what I get to share with people and teach people and do for businesses is you don't need to be necessarily perfectly polished and professional. I love alliteration. You can, yeah. You can actually just come in, show up as yourself, as who you are. And that is actually what you want to do, because that is your differential. Right?
I love this. Like, so fun fact, I love making reels. Like I love photography. I love creativity. I just love making reels. I will go to places, events, things. Sometimes I'll completely shut off and you won't see me take any photos or video. But like, I feel like I'm making home videos. Like how you mentioned how you started out. Like that's what reels feel like to me. And I'm like, and I literally do it for myself. Like I know it's probably good to share in the world, but it's just like, I actually do it. It feels like I'm making home videos that I get to re-watch later. And meeting you and seeing how you treat video and the way that you think about content, I think we're very similar there. And I love the way that you approach it and make people excited about it.
Yeah. And less stressed about it.
Yeah.
So creating content in the marketing world for most small businesses these days is just daunting and overwhelming. So you're telling me that not only do I need to run a business, or not only do I need to market a business, and whatever your role is within the organization, not only do I need to show up in the way that we've always shown up, now I have to have this huge understanding of the digital realm and of AI and of video and this is tremendously impactful. And so we're looking at people who had roles that are actually doing 2 to 3 jobs in one. So ease is something that we talk about, whether we can take that off people's plates and do it. I don't like to say for them, because I really do think content creation is a with job.
Yes.
If we're going to genuinely and authentically share corporate culture and the story from within, but take away some of that pain. It's stressful. Most people that I talk to do not say I really like reels. Jillian, like you are a small percentage. Most people come exasperated, in tears. We've tried everything. I've researched this for hours. I've wasted so much time. It doesn't even work. I feel stuck. There is a lot of frustration in and around content creation because of what's involved, right? It's highly technical, right?
Yeah. So how does Modern Muse help people? Like very simply.
Yeah. And it's already been said. So we work on content creation and we can do training. So we can teach people how to do it for themselves, or we can do it with them. And so this is a more collaborative approach where we're coming out, we're filming video, we're creating content on a regular basis and coming up with the content plan, the content strategy, and doing everything all the way up into the social management. And we do some social media management as well. But just what I see it as is we're going on this journey with you and holding your hand so that you don't feel so isolated and you're just trying to figure everything out on your own.
Yeah,
and then there's some people who are like, just do it. And we can do that too.
I've been there a few times. I've tried to just do it a few times. And what I've realized is, and I feel like this is the new era of leadership, is how energetic everything is. And particularly as a manifestor in human design, like what I'm putting out in the world requires my energy. So it doesn't mean I have to do all the aspects, but it means like I can't energetically hand things off and expect them to still flow, even though I tried, quite a lot of times. And not necessarily the same for everyone, but I just think like, if it doesn't feel good, either enroll people to support you, like Jesse, or like, what does it look like to get your business into a good feeling place, or those aspects into a good feeling place? So my question then is, what would you say to someone who is exasperated, overwhelmed, needs support, like what is the first thing that you would say, like beyond them hiring you or before them
Yeah.
hiring, is like, what is one thing that could help to shift that mindset?
Start small. I could parallel this to any habit that you're going to integrate into your world. So you want to run a marathon, you're not going to start by running the whole distance. You're going to start by just doing increments. Focus on one platform versus trying to be everywhere. So rein it in. If something doesn't feel good, you're going to be adverse to it, which means you're not going to do it. You're going to resent it. And then if you are doing it, you're basically just putting it out because somebody told you that you're supposed to do the thing.
You're shitting
so you're
yourself.
doing the thing. Exactly. So if you can get marketing, content creation, and video, which it is a powerful tool. It's you in front of thousands. It's powerful, just like public speaking, right? But if it can be manageable and if it can actually feel really good and if you can feel successful at it, then you're more likely to do more. So start out with something that feels good. Set yourself up to win. It's just like exercise. Creating content is habitual in your business. There needs to be systems and processes wrapped around it instead of trying to squeeze it into those 5-minute moments that you're likely not going to succeed and get things done. And then you're going to feel like a failure. And why are you going to continue to do something you're failing at? You know?
Boom, shalaka laka. I feel like, so what I also experience, practice, preach, and teach, just new words.
That was so good. So good.
Is around, like, if it doesn't feel good, A, either don't do it, B, shift it, whatever that means, hiring someone, enrolling support, like doing it differently. But the last piece is, if we do things that don't feel good, like the energy we're doing the things with, that's the energy we're going to attract. So that means, like, how are you ever going to attract the abundance that you want if you're doing things and feeling shitty about it?
Bingo, wingo, wingo, wingo.
Bingo, wingo, wingo. We have 2 new words to add to the Joy Dictionary.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. Okay. So we're kind of jumping into a little bit of, like, you know, what people might experience, which is fear, a little bit of imposter syndrome, like all the things that stop people from being visible. And I kind of want to know, like, how do you handle that in your own life and business? Like, how do you handle it where, well, let's just talk about fear. Do you feel the fear? Do you do it anyway? Like, what does that look like for you? I just like to be real about this from our perspective.
That if I was going to have a gravestone, that would be written on it, but I'm not. So feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. I talk to my daughter about this all the time because the biggest wins in life are on the other side of that, right? First of all, you got to get over the sound of your own voice. Nobody likes the sound of their voice, period. It's just a real thing. Or maybe somebody does, but they're probably 1 to 5% of the population.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that I actively work on in my world, in my life personally, is caring what people think. It's something that I'm just going to get very real and vulnerable about. I care what people think. I care less. I'm starting to care without caring. I'm a work in progress. And man, I was that person when I put out a video, I would go and watch it. I would obsess. Maybe I need to take it again. And because of practice, which is just doing something that maybe you find there's discomfort in, practice. And now I do a video, I release it into the world. I know it has purpose, it has intention, and we move on. And so progress over perfection is something that I couldn't stress more.
Yeah.
People will not do this. They will literally not take this step because they're expecting to come out of the gate and just be perfect. And none of us are. Nothing in nature is. It's just getting past that. Progress over perfection.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yeah. And I think what's helpful is knowing that you struggle with this still. I struggle with this still. The podcast
Yeah.
itself was really tricky for me because it felt like I was more accessible to people who didn't know me. And for some reason, I feel like the places I exist already, like where I have a community, I just feel like so comfortable there. But this felt really scary. And now I've noticed as things are kind of expanding that fear. And so in one of my classes the other day, we did some visibility work and it was writing out like all of your fears. And, they were normal fears like, fear that what are people going to think? They don't know me. They're going to judge me. One of them was they're going to think I'm weird. And then
Welcome
I got
to the club, baby.
Right? And then I got us all to tap into like our highest self energy, most unconditionally loving aspect of ourselves. And all of us wrote, the contrast to that, for ourselves. Because I can tell you, don't think that way. Don't feel that but it's never going to be as powerful as when we really own this ourselves. And so my high self was like so eloquent and, matter of fact. And then with the weird one, it was like, you are weird. And I laughed so hard because I'm like, yeah, just own it. There's a piece of just owning who we actually are that I feel is like the antidote to caring what people think. Because, there was wisdom I received once around 30% of people will love you. 30% of people don't care and 30% won't like you. And then I thought, okay, let's just focus on the 30% and the rest can just fall away easily. And why would we tend to that energy? That's not going to help us to shine as bright as we're here to shine.
And I think we tend to that energy because that's what we've been taught, hushed by parents and society and needing to do a certain way because it's an alignment. And I know I've made a lot of those mistakes even with my own child. I speak often. I love speaking. When you talk about purpose and calling, that this is huge for me. And one of the things that I say is not everybody is going to like me. I experience that. But there are going to be people out there that are called to you, that are drawn to you, just like we talked about at the very beginning of the conversation. And who are you showing up for, right?
Yeah.
You're showing up for them. You're not showing up for the people that aren't going to like you. This is so much easier said than done. This is really deep work, I find.
Yeah. And consistent work. And maybe part of what we'll always be doing as long as we're growing. Right?
It's funny that you said you're comfortable speaking in front of your community because don't get me wrong, I am. But I find that sometimes when there's that one person or two people I know in the audience, it actually makes me more nervous than when I am speaking to a room full of entire strangers. So,
I know, that's the second time someone has said that, where they're like, give me all the strangers. I don't want to talk to people I know.
Yeah.
I love it. And this is the, how nuanced it is, this fear work and visibility work. And it's just really checking in, whatever it is that's stopping us. And a lot of us will have similarities and some new things where I'm just like, okay, give me some of that medicine. Tell me why you like talking to strangers better. Maybe I can shift my mindset.
Yeah. That's a really great question. And I've reflected on it for quite some time. And yeah, I think that maybe it's that if somebody that really knows me, they're more likely able to maybe see that fear that, by the way, is so normal. I mean, even with as much on camera and stage experience that I have, I still experience that before going on stage or before rolling. So I don't know. Maybe it's a fear of being seen. Maybe there's a little bit of that. Yeah.
I love it. Well, we'll continue to talk about it. Okay. Another question is around getting on stage. So I think we talked about this when you and I first connected, is how you feel before you do a talk or how you feel before you get on that stage. How do you feel? And how do you walk yourself through that process of doing the thing?
There's a lot of energy moving. So I actually tend to take a page from Raffi's book, or rather song, and I really try and shake the sillies out. So there's a ton of energy moving in me before I get onto stage. So I will actually shake. I will try and jump up and down and really move some of that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've also emceed massive events where I've gotten up to do the land acknowledgement, and I feel like all of the blood completely go from my face and voice is cracking. And so, but those reactions, I think, are less and less with more practice.
Yeah.
And it's just the more you do something. But yeah, it shows up with butterflies, a little bit of nausea, a little bit of heart palpitation, you know, I mean, just normal stuff.
Yeah. The shit your pants feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I typically wear a diaper, you know, it's totally cool.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah. So I also feel like that a lot of energy come through. And I think what helps me is knowing that Adele still gets nervous to sing. That's what really helps me. I'm like, if she can be nervous, like, it's a part of, I just call it a success struggle. It's like, you know, you're doing amazing. If you're nervous about what you're about to do, like it means that you really care, and kind of just that reframe from nervous to excited. And then really just, I'm a little more spiritual. So I'm always calling in like my guides and angels to support me and sharing the message that this group needs to hear. Because once you hit that stage, like no matter how prepared you are, there's a moment of just like, okay, here it goes. Right. And, and I think, I just love hearing how much you love to speak, and that you also get scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah.
And when I'm getting ready at home, is that my family is not allowed to speak to me.
Girl, oh my goodness. I always run around just saying like stay out of my way for the next X amount of time. Like just because it's like a lot of energy. And you don't want to
Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me.
You just made me feel so normal.
I thought we talked about not talking to me. Yeah, I am, and I'm thinking, I'm preparing, right? And so I have to just be in that zone. I have an open line. I have a finish, a tagline. Everything else in between is usually pretty structured, but I'm going through. I'm checking it. I don't have it memorized per se. Again, I prefer much more of having notes, not a script, but that time is sacred.
Yeah.
And so I guard it.
And intentional. I love it.
Don't talk to me.
And thank God no one's filming us before we get on the stage.
Well, and that's funny that you say that, because I have done that before too. So stay tuned. Maybe that'll show up in a reel somewhere.
Okay, I can't wait. Yes, I can't wait for it.
This is like it's like whole bunch of Raffi.
Okay, I love this. I want more Raffi, please. Okay, let's shift a little bit into the menopause mission, if you're cool with it.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I'm so cool. Menopause is cool.
We're making menopause cool over here. You're making menopause very cool. So you launched the menopause mission in 2023. And so I'd love to hear like what sparked that movement. It feels like a movement. Yeah. And just share with us kind of what's that all about?
Well, it's funny that you said movement, because I actually tried to secure the menopause movement. It was originally named that, and I couldn't get the URL. So,
okay, well.
So yeah, I mean, just an incredibly intense, challenging experience with menopause. I was postmenopausal and in what I know now to be an estrogen crash, and ended up in bed for 2 days crying relentlessly, and I was suicidal. So this was more than death ideation. This was planning things out. So my daughter came and sat on my bed and said, "Mom, do I need to call someone?" And I said, "No, Mommy needs to call someone." And so at that time I was on a waiting list, which there are many and they are long, for the menopause clinic at a hospital here. It's the only program in Edmonton now at one of the hospitals. It's at the Grey Nuns. I had been on the list for almost a year and a half at that time when I had hit this peak or this place. And so I ended up going to my naturopath, seeking out some solace, some direction. He put me on IV therapy, which helped a lot, but not enough, but it got me up and out of bed. This is not normal for me, Jillian. Like I've been through a lot, and I almost to a fault get up and work, will throw myself into my work. So for me to be in a place where I couldn't function, something was really, really wrong. So through this process, I ended up getting, and if you ask me how, I don't remember, but I ended up getting a license for TELUS to produce a documentary series. And I needed to know what was going on. And I knew how to produce television. I know how to do this. And so I ended up starting to interview the top experts that I could connect with, and I could get into offices in a week's time when I had a camera and I was coming in to say, we're going to be interviewing you. So I was bypassing the waiting list to gather information and knowledge because that was my power.
Nice.
Right? Then I was also going back out to events, resurfacing, where have you been, Jesse? What's been going on? And I would say, well, let me tell you. And I would share my story, and women would surface and come out of the shadows and out of their silence and say, oh my gosh, me too. And oh my gosh, I'm struggling. I feel like I'm going crazy. My marriage is on the rocks. My children can't stand me. My life feels like it's falling apart. And me too. And so through that process, recognizing that there was this massive gap between women and educators and experts. And so in October of 2023, in October's Menopause Month, I launched with an intern, just the two of us, the Menopause Mission. It was our inaugural event, sold out, connecting experts and education with women and community so that they had a safe space to go to get their questions answered. Because most often, I can say, and I hear this, women are being dismissed or told they just need to grin and bear it, put their big girl panties on and get through it. And that is not true.
Right. Wow. I'm really excited to be invited into this community and really just stumbled upon it through meeting you. So I'm excited to get to know more about what's available and how to support and be supported. It's like giving and receiving. It feels like in these phases we go through in life, it's not just one or the other. And so that documentary, where can we find it?
It's right on the website for free.
Okay.
We did 2 seasons. So there's 22 episodes, and it's at the menopausemission.org.
Okay, amazing. I'm really excited for people to be directed over there. And then you also have a monthly experience. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes. So also really wanting and needing for that to be accessible to all women of all walks of life. So the membership is free. We do ask you sign up so that you can join our mailing list and you can be informed as to when things are going on and such. But we have preferred practitioners on our website that have been vetted, that will see you, hear you, answer your questions. You will not be dismissed and disregarded. That brings up a lot of emotion for me. I've had a lot of conversations in and around that. And we have coffee and conversations, and that's toward the end of the month. So it's the third Tuesday of each month. And we support a local female-owned and operated coffee place, local gem, Rhubarb. And then we also put on our summits. So from the time that I started the Menopause Mission in 2023 to October of 2024, we had put on 3 sold out summits that supported women and connected them with these experts, different kinds of experts and education, as well as a community, a place to come and talk about it.
Yes, so good.
Catalyze the conversation. Imagine that.
Imagine. Boom, chicka, wicka, hicka.
Love that.
So many new words. Okay. How would you say that navigating your relationship with menopause has impacted your joy?
Oh my goodness. My joy comes from shedding light into other women's lives that are struggling so terribly. And the light that just goes on within them when they hear from me that it doesn't need to be like this. I connect them with amazing people that can help, and seeing them reclaim their lives, reclaim their power. That has been huge, crazy. And it was just, it was so impromptu. I just did it because I was in such exasperation and awe of how does nobody know about this? Like, why aren't we talking about this?
Yes.
It didn't equate for me.
Yes.
And I thought maybe it was like my mom passed away when I was young. My grandma was going through dementia and passed away through my transition experience as well. And so I really didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to, but I thought it was just me. I thought it was isolated. No way. And so it was just created out of need, basically, that I just saw this gap. It wasn't planned out. There wasn't a business plan or anything like that. So the joy was really unexpected. Yeah, it was, this has all been just really kind of organic, the way it's fallen into place, right?
I love that. Like, to me, that's like such a telltale sign of leadership, is like really creating, like filling the gaps that you're seeing. And it's a powerful story. It's a powerful path you've been walking. Lots of diamonds created through the fire. It sounds like you're in another shift. Like, what is the, so whatever you feel open to sharing around, like, what is next for Jesse Schewchuk, my shister?
My sister.
What is next? And maybe you're not sure. And like, if you want to share a little bit about you kind of alluded to this earlier on.
Yeah, I don't think that I've ever reflected so much in my life. And something that I found through the power of menopause is how much we do start to really put the flashlight on ourselves and are given permission to, or our soul called to, or whatever that looks like. But we've typically, when we're going into transition, we're done or almost done rearing our children, our partners' careers, we've supported them in, and I'm backdating, right?
Yes.
It's a time for us to focus on ourselves. And that is, I think, one of the hardest shifts for women to make, because it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? So a lot of reflection and purpose-driven questions. Who am I really called to be? How do I want to spend the latter part of my years, depending on how many I'm gifted, right?
Yeah.
And so that has been a big part of my life, more so than any other time in my life. But I definitely see myself on stages. I'm kind of becoming known, at least in our region, as the menopause lady, so which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I want the word connected to strength, resilience, bold voices, sexiness at any age, whatever that looks like, right? And so you have women going into it younger and younger, especially if they've had surgery-induced menopause. So being invited to share my story, and as I share my story more and more, giving permission for others to do the same, giving permission for others to say, I'm not okay, or I need help. That's a big part of my messaging, is asking for help and leaning in and taking the cape off, right?
Yes.
And then my solo project, my solo book is in the works. So I co-authored a book about menopause that came out in the fall.
Okay.
And it's amazing stories from 21 other women and myself about our menopause journeys, everything from going into emergency with like heart palpitations through to skin and eyes and all the different things that are impacted. That was my first authoring experience. And I've written since I was a kid. So now it's time for the solo project. And the solo project's been in work since my mom passed away 22 years ago.
Wow.
So it's time for
I just got full
it to
shivers.
come out. Yeah.
Full shivers.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll share with us when that happens. Do you want to drop a seed right now? Like, where are we,
Yeah,
You're
I mean, it's in the
well?
works. Yeah. And my goal is to have it completed by end of year. So really setting time aside to do that. It starts with my mom's death and ends with my grandma's death.
Wow.
And it's really about, the female role in society, the female role in families, the matriarchy for good and bad. And my experiences by having a very matriarchal family, if you will, and then having that taken away.
Wow.
At a young age. So yeah,
Wow.
it's time.
Yes. Okay. I'll be your accountability check-in if you'd like on that, because I can feel how deeply the world needs this. And definitely we'll be linking the book that you've written below as well. And I can't wait to read that as well. Just so it sounds like we come back to like the lessons, the biggest lesson that you've learned so far, what would you say that is?
I'll go back to the asking for help.
Yeah.
So part of my personality, as well as I think my gender, is just this needing to do it on my own or figure it out on my own. This fierce independence also comes with some neurodivergence as well. And so I've often times tried to figure out things by face plants and gravel slides, right? And so I finally had a turning point probably about 6 years ago, where I asked for help. I started to learn how to ask for help. I started to learn how to receive. And that was such a game changer. And that's something that I talk about often is we weren't meant to do this on our own.
Yeah.
We were a part of villages, and we wouldn't survive without the village. If you were outcast from the village, you would surely die, which is why belonging is such a massive basic need for us, because it actually means survival. And so we can ask for help. We can ask for help so much more than what we do.
Agreed. Yes. Receiving is just as important as giving. This divine feminine energy is so important. And I think it's the new era of leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, one final.
Ba-da-dum-bum-bum-ching or something like that.
Ba-da-bum, ching, ching, chong.
Okay. I gotta learn it. I'll just make up new ones as
I've
we
never
go.
done this before, by the way. It could be a new thing, or maybe it's just our thing.
Okay.
The shisters. The shish. I can't even say it.
The shisters. The shisters.
I love it. It's a new hashtag. Okay. So final kind of wrap up. If there was one thing, one message, one truth that you feel called to speak aloud right now, what would that be?
Do what you're called to do. And if you don't know what that looks like, there are people like this beautiful human I'm speaking with here that can help you explore that. But I just show up with those gifts. We are all given gifts. And sometimes I will go back to that, caring what people think, what will people say if I do this thing that I've always loved or wanted to do. And it's just like, we have to.
Yeah.
We have to. It's meant to be that way. And so do the thing that you are being called to do. Because honestly, the Menopause mission wouldn't be in existence if I hadn't listened and it was strong. And I actually, my company suffered because of it. And I'm actually in a real rebuild because of that. But that's okay, because I had to do this.
Yeah.
But listen, it's there. It's calling you.
Yeah. Follow the nudges, follow the messages, just keep moving forward. Next best things, right? Next best steps, baby steps forward. Amazing. You're an absolute inspiration, Jesse. Thanks so much for being here. I'm so grateful we met. And I know this is just the beginning of a lot of magic for us both. So celebrating you.
And celebrating you. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for taking this step, even though it was uncomfortable for you. You know, you're sharing incredible work, incredible stories, connecting humans in a very authentic, genuine way. So I celebrate that. And thank you for having me be a part of it, because I'm honored. I really am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Until we speak again, the shisters will reunite. We won't know where it will be, but it's happening soon. I'd love to have you back on, though. I'd love to talk more about menopause, perimenopause, all the things. And I feel like this is just a beautiful beginning. So thank you so much. Yeah.
The shisters will ride again. Dun, dun, dun.
Could be a motorcycle, could be a sled. Like, we don't know what it'll be. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.